Hello everybody. So I'm just gonna go over some of the graphic settings for you guys and give you some tips on how to optimize your game a bit further, how to turn up some eye candy. So first we're gonna go, I'll show you how to get to your graphics settings. Here we have malware bytes, go away. So yeah, you're gonna go to this PC. If you have it on Steam, this is where I have it. So you're going to go to C or whatever your default disk is. You're going to go to Program Files x86, go down to Steam, go to Steam Apps, Common, and then Ghost Recon Online or Ghost Recon Phantoms, whatever you have is going to be one of those two. So yeah, go into here, go to Game, NCSA Live, or EMEA Live if you're on the European servers. And you're going to go down to graphics settings.ini. So yeah, here we have all the graphics settings. Obviously, I'm just going to go through each one, explain it a little bit, and show you which ones you should turn off to get more frames. So yeah, GRP is a pretty easy game to run. I did some experiments, downclocked my graphics card to 300 megahertz from about 975 megahertz, and still ran GRP at a steady 60 frames per second on high at 1080p. So it's not that hard of a game to run if you have some modern hardware. So yeah, these first two settings, I have no idea. Version 1 auto configure 0. I would not touch those. Might screw up your game. So yeah, shadow map size. I'm not entirely sure on this one. I think it's going to be the shadows baked into the game and just how high resolution they are, but it might be how high resolution the shadows are. I'm not entirely sure, but oh yeah, so some of these, the number at the end is going to be your settings. The actual settings is what you need to change. Um, but some of them just do 1 and 0, so 1 for on and 0 for off. So like render bloom, 1 is on, so that's on. If I turn that to 0, it would be off. But some of them, 0 is the highest quality you can get. I don't know why that is. It just is. So yeah, usually the ones that say quality afterwards, you want to turn that down all the way to 0 if you can to get the highest quality graphics. So yeah, so shader version 3.0 shaders are just going to be your post-processing effects and all the stuff that makes the game look cool. So shader version 3, just don't mess with that because that is just the version that GRP runs because it runs in DirectX 9 and shader version 3.0 is what DirectX 9 uses. So yeah, so bloom is going to be just the blurriness around a bright light. Looks pretty cool in my opinion. I like to have that on. Here we have a okay image of what it looks like. So here we have bloom off and bloom on, so you can see just some of the brightness is, it just looks a lot more bright. So yeah, that's just what that's gonna look like. It has a small performance hit, so turn that off if you don't need it. Um, so yeah, texture size is going to be the resolution of the textures in the game. From characters to map, I think the map textures are covered under this. And also gun textures and actually scope textures, which is a thing I discovered forever ago when I had low power hardware. Because on low settings, the scope textures are blurry. They're just lower resolution textures, so it was kind of hard and it was kind of annoying when trying to snipe because it was a bit harder to get pinpoint aim. So yeah, I just turned this to 0 and it fixed all my problems. So yeah, if you have lower end hardware, you can turn this down a bit. We have on the low preset texture size is set to 2, on medium it's 1, and high is 0 obviously. So yeah, on very low it's set to 2. So 2 is probably the low end of the settings. So yeah, volumetric shadow, that's just going to be the shadows in game generated by your character because I don't think anything else in the game actually uses volumetric shadows. I'm pretty sure everything else is baked into the maps because there's not a whole lot of moving things in GURPS. So yeah, that's just going to be your shadows. I have a okay image here. So you can just see the light is obviously up here. You have the ball and the shadow. The ball is projecting a shadow onto the ground. So that's just what a volumetric shadow is. In GRP, if you turn that off, you're just going to get blob shadows that follow your character around. Just this darkened circle around your character's feet, which doesn't look good. Um, so yeah, turn this off if you really don't need it. I would leave it on, honestly. But yeah, if you have some really bad hardware, you're going to want to turn that off. So yeah, motion blur, that's just going to be the blurring you see. You can get this effect while you're, like if you take your camera and you take a picture and you move your camera around, it'll just be all blurry, and that's what motion blur is going to do. So yeah, I have a song because I like it because I think it makes things look smoother. Um, Apparently a lot of people don't like it. Um, and I think that's because a lot of games use individual object motion blur, so if like something like a character is moving ridiculously fast, like they've somehow like glitched something and just this random thing flies across the screen, it's gonna look kind of ridiculous if you're just holding still and all of a sudden this blurry character just flies across your screen. So yeah, in GRP though, it just does entire scene motion blur, which is why I kind of like it on because it just makes things look a bit smoother in my opinion, but a lot of people don't like it off, so just experiment with that. I would turn it off if you're getting less than about 50 FPS, because that's just going to make everything look blurry. So yeah, LOD quality, I'm not sure what this is. I'm pretty sure it says level of distance, level of detail quality. Um, I looked it up and there was something about um, the distance that a texture is at and how good the texture looks at the distance. So I don't know. So yeah, obviously this is going to be one of the ones that 0 is going to be the highest quality. On the low preset, we have LOD quality set to 2, medium is 1. So yeah, just turn that to 2 if you don't need it. I don't know how much of an impact it's going to have, but yeah. So SHD LOD quality. On low, this one's set to 3. I think it's probably shader LOD quality, but I don't know. So yeah, if you're on high settings, you're gonna want to turn this to 0 if you want all that. So yeah, AA quality, that's gonna be your anti-aliasing. It's gonna be the jaggies that you see in game. Look pretty bad in my opinion. So yeah, you're gonna want to turn that off. If you it does have quite a bit of a performance hit. Um, so if you don't have the best hardware, you're gonna want to turn that off. So we have an example here. So we have Crysis 3 with anti-aliasing disabled on this side and MSAA 8X on this side. So here it is off, and then you can see it especially well on this train here. With it off, you can see the jaggies, the little white things right there. And on this background here, there's two little wires back there. You can see it just looks a whole ton better, and especially back here. And along all this edge right up there, it just looks a ton smoother. So yeah, I'd recommend turning that on if you have enough horsepower. So yeah, DOF quality, depth of field quality, I think. I'm pretty sure they removed that, at least for cover. So yeah, I wouldn't worry with this too much. But obviously on the low setting, the DOF quality is set to 1. So probably if you need some more FPS, just turn that to 1 and turn the quality down a little bit. So yeah. Off-screen particles, I think. I don't know what this does on everything. Well, on low and very low, we have it to on, so it's probably one of those ones where 0 is the best. So I think, I'm not sure why, but 0 is going to be the highest quality. So yeah, that's just going to be your particle effects. Um, well, here that's environment particles. I don't know if you noticed on the nukes. You can sometimes see little pieces of paper floating around. I'm pretty sure that's what these are. I'm pretty sure ENV stands for environment. So yeah, let's skip to particle effects, which is going to be I think the only particles in the game are going to be the environmental ones and the like the muzzle flash and the smoke coming out of your barrel. And I don't know what smoke nades, what that's covered under. So we'll just give you a quick. So here's no low particles, high particles. You can obviously see there's difference. He's just shooting the wall there, so um, it's pretty intensive option. So turn that down if you don't need it. Um, so yeah, we have optimized Z prepass, which has to do with how the game is rendered, and so on very low quality, um, actually, I'm looking at it here, and there doesn't seem to be an option for that. So I just leave that to 0. I don't know how that's going to work. Drawing distance, there is no preset for that either, so I just leave that as it is. Display height, width and display height, so that's just going to be your resolution. GRP does some weird things if you have it in windowed mode. So it's just going to default to 1920 by 1063 on my monitor. I don't know why. That's just how it does. This is going to be the biggest performance factor by far in GRP. If you want to just turn this down to 720p, which is 1280 by 720, you can experiment with resolutions in between 1920 by 1080 and 1280 by 720. But yeah, if you turn this down to 720p, it's about half the resolution. Actually, let's do some math really quick. Go to the calculator. So we're gonna do 1920 by 1080. So that's what 2 million pixels. So 2,073,600 pixels. We're gonna do 1280 by 720. So that's what 900,000 pixels. So that's a little. It's probably about half actually. About half of the resolution. So that's just gonna be effectively doubling your performance in the game. So yeah. It's obviously going to make things look a lot worse in terms of actual fidelity, but in my opinion, more frames per second, you're going to want to get at least 60 on any game. So I would just turn resolution down if you need to. So yeah, so windowed obviously is going to determine if you're running in windowed or full screen mode. VSync, that has to do with how the game renders frames and your monitor's refresh rate. So GRP is hard capped at 60, so I don't know why there's even a VSync option, since VSync would limit it to 60 anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. I just don't want anything interfering with anything. So yeah, enhanced character lighting, that is some new technology they put in the game not too long ago. It just affects the lighting on your character. So yeah, it does have a little bit of a performance hit. So turn that off. It's on very low. On those presets, it has that off. So yeah, just turn that off if you don't need it. SSAO, that's screen space ambient occlusion. It's an experimental setting. Doesn't work that well on GRP. Actually, you get artifacts on high magnification scopes, so I would leave that off until they have it perfected. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and save this because I made a few changes. So yeah, those are all the settings in Ghost Recon Phantoms. So yeah, hopefully you know how to optimize your game to get 60 FPS properly. So yeah.